everybody. This is Pete Evick from the Bret Band. If you're not in the now, you're in the nothing.
So out on the road again with Bret.
Again, never stops.
Yeah. It's like the Bret Band is one of the few bands that is constantly on the road.
Constantly, we don't stop. You know, Bret. It's all Bret's ever known since he was a 21-year-old kid, and it's all we've ever known before we were in Bret's band. We were just road dogs ourselves, and it feels weird to not be on the road, so we just keep going and going and going and going.
Now, being on the road as much as you guys are, you guys hit all these different cities. Is there any part of the country or any particular cities that when you see the tour itinerary you're like, fuck yeah, we're going back there?
Well, you know, first of all, every city's great. If you could play rock and roll and someone's going to come to see you, then that's great to me. But obviously out in this area, you know, Sturgis. You know, we do Sturgis almost every year. We've done it as Evick, we've done it as a Bret Band, and there's nothing like that experience, obviously. And, you know, the Midwest has a great cities, you know, Kansas City, St. Louis, all those places. The crowds still love their rock and roll. You know, I'm an East Coast guy, and I love New York City, and I love, you know, Washington, D.C., where I'm from. But my favorite place in the country, or my favorite places in the world, are the, you know, the ocean places and the coastal places. I love Biloxi, the Gulf of Mexico, and the Panhandle of Florida and Texas and all those stuff. I love that beach party town type of thing, and we really have a good time when we do those areas.
Now, coming from doing your band and then playing with Bret, what was the biggest change for you, kind of making that step from one band to the other?
The biggest change is not having to change the strings on my guitar because of my boy John right there. No, you know what? I try to not let my ego get out of control, so I don't let some of the things that have come along with this go to my head. So a lot of times I don't even pay attention to the stuff that is probably would be the difference between playing in Evick and this band. I had the bus, obviously riding in a bus instead of driving a van through the night myself is a, you know, wonderful experience, and the idea that you get a shower every day and get fed is you know. But yeah, the biggest difference is the fact that Bret's a legend. Bret Michaels is you know, I say this a lot. I grew up in the 80s. I'm an 80s rock fan. Bret has surpassed the 80s thing. He's not just a guy from the 80s anymore. But I always tell him, you know, that as we were all kids growing up in that era, we all thought that David Lee Roth was going to be the guy that iconically would define that genre. You know, like Robert Plant defined the 70s. There's always a guy that defines a generation, a frontman of rock and roll. And growing up, we all thought that David Lee Roth would be that guy. And I'm a huge Van Halen fan, as you guys all know. In fact, if you want to know the fucking truth, I'm pissed off right now because where's Van Halen playing today?
Oshkosh, Wisconsin.
Oshkosh, Wisconsin, which it's like their only United States appearance right now, and like every friend I have is there right now. I've been getting texts and pictures all day long. It's been pissing me off. Anyway, and so anyway, my point though to the whole story was that Bret took the crown from Dave, and he's the guy that we're all going to remember. When someone says, what about rock and roll in the 80s, you know, it's not going to be David Lee Roth, and it's not going to be Vince Neil. And Vince is a great friend of ours, but it's Bret. He did it right, and he is going to be the icon of a generation of a genre of music. And to get on stage with that guy every single night, you can't.
It's going to be amazing.
It's you can't even comprehend. I always tell people, and I've been in the band now 9 years, and it's an education in rock and roll that's undefinable. Every day I get a lesson that most people dream of. You know, I even joke with Bret sometimes. Bret's like, you know, you're always, you know, so positive about all this stuff, and you're always so upbeat. And I said, well, here's the thing. I'm playing with you would be like if you were playing with Steven Tyler. So while you're a huge rock star and you're a legend, you never got to be in Aerosmith. I'm in your band. Do you get the dynamic there? And that's the perspective I see. I have an incredibly unique perspective of what's happened in my life as a professional musician, because even the biggest stars in the world, you know, Robert Plant might have been a Beatles fan. He didn't get to play in the Beatles. I was an enormous Poison fan, and here I am next to Bret every single night for 9 years. So it's an interesting perspective. I'm the luckiest guy in the music business.
Now let's go back 9 years. What did you think when you got that call saying, hey, You want to play guitar for me?
I thought absolutely there's no better person on the planet to do it. You know, I don't know if I've discussed this before with you. I've discussed it with a lot of people, but in you know, the band is my band, and you know, Bret had done a couple solo tours before, and he'd had some hired gun players, but they weren't a band. And he Poison had always been a band, and he wasn't able to capture the energy of Poison, and so we were his opening band. He was kind enough to let us be his support act for a couple of years. And one day he called up, he goes, man, I just want to let me just use your band, come up and do a gig one time, and it'll be more like Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band, that kind of thing, where it's Bret is the star and the focal point, but it's a band behind him that plays together constantly. It's not just this guy's from LA and this guy's from Chicago, and you know what I'm saying? So we went and we did the gig, and I guess the point I was trying to make before is me and my drummer Chuck, we've been together almost 30 years. The first song we ever played in high school was Cry Tough from Poison. We were die-hard Poison fans, and so it's a dream come true to us. It's almost like that movie Rockstar, if you've ever seen it. It's real close to the truth. And so we, Bret, the one thing me and Bret share is we're not big rehearsal guys. We like to wing it, and we like to jam, and we like to have fun. And Bret had told us just to learn the songs, and we went and we knew half of them, but we knew them how the record was. And Bret's been playing those songs for 25 years. Any song evolves over 25 years. Anything evolves, right? And so even though he thinks he's playing it just like he's been playing it his whole life, he's changed it, not even known. You know, things have happened live and stuff like that. So we get up and we do what we're doing unrehearsed, and he does what he's doing unrehearsed, and it was not great. But let me rephrase this. The gig was, he called me up and he goes, let's do this gig. It's a little tiny radio gig. He says, it's a little tiny radio gig in Detroit, and let's just come up there and have some fun. Well, his idea of little and my idea of little is completely different, because this was 15,000 people. Radio hosted thing called the Hoedown, Downtown Hoedown in Detroit, and it was huge, and we weren't prepared. And I thought to myself, well, that was it, my entire life, my big break, and Bret's never going to speak to me again. And me and Bret had been friends, so it wasn't like I'd never met him. You know, we were friends. And I thought, well, that ruined that on every level. And I went home, and he called me up, and he said, he goes, what did you think about that? And I said, well, it was awful. I'm embarrassed. And he goes, yeah, I've watched your band play before. I know it's better than that. I don't know what happened. And then he was really cool. He's like, maybe we should have rehearsed, whatever. And he goes, let's try it again. I said, okay, what do you want to do? He goes, well, Memorial Day weekend, we're playing with Leonard Skinner at the Starwood Amphitheater in Nashville. Sold out 33,000 people on Memorial Day weekend, right? My second show with Bret. Same thing, though. We still didn't learn our lesson. We didn't rehearse, right? But right before the show, he goes, man, I just need you to go out there and not think about what's going on and act like you do in your own band every single night. And with that, I had the confidence. I walked out, and after the show was over, we finished nothing but a good time, and he slapped me a high five, and he goes, that's what I needed, and that's what I've been looking for. Then he called me a couple days later. He goes, this is it. If you guys want to do this, let's just be a band. And here it is 9 years later. So
yeah, crazy.
It's a good story, man.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Let's talk about your band. Do you get any time to focus on that at all?
You know what? Not in the last couple of years. I do, and we play 5 or 6 shows around the country a year in certain markets that we know is really good for us. But to be honest with you, that has become a lot of fun to me. When I write music now, I write it and I present it to Bret, and then if Bret likes it, we'll take that idea and it'll become a new song for us. But then if it doesn't work out for the Bret Michaels band, then the next step is it'll become an Evick song. But you know, as of now, we've turned it into this fun rock party cover band, and we'll just go through parties. And the difference in our band and Evick is, Bret, we do a 90-minute set. In Evick, we play 4.5 hours. We just walk in and we play 4.5 hours straight, and we have a blast. And that's where I go for fun when I need a break from this now, if that makes sense. So it's in my heart, it's in my soul, I love it, but there's not a lot of focus on it. It's my release, if that makes sense. It's my happy hour after a day's work.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about your gear. Do you have a certain guitar that is your favorite guitar that you don't ever leave home without?
Yeah. Actually, it's funny. If we're going to talk about gear, you got to swing that camera over to my boy John right here. John makes the whole thing run, and he's been instrumental in the rig that we're using this year. So, the guitar-wise, I'm still playing Deans, and I was playing the Dean Soltero, which is like a Les Paul, but now they made a new model. It's called a Thoroughbred, and you know, John sent him some specs to get me the model built exactly the way I like it, and I haven't played another guitar since. It's been a year now?
About a year, yeah.
About a year, and without a doubt, I don't leave home without it. It's probably the coolest guitar I've ever had. We were just talking today at soundcheck. I was just hitting one note, and I let it sustain as long as I could. It wouldn't stop sustaining, and I handed the guitar back to Johnson. That's a good guitar just today, so... Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Now let's go back in time a little bit more. Do you remember the first time you picked up a guitar, and from that moment, did you know that you wanted to play guitar?
That's an interesting story. My mother was a huge Elvis fan. In fact, it's interesting when she's passed away, but my mom would see Elvis in the clubs before he was somebody. Like,
wow.
It's an interesting story. You don't hear a lot of people saying that. We make a lot of jokes that she might have been one of Elvis's groupies, but sorry. But she was more than a fan, and it was in her heart, and there was something very special with Elvis. And so as early as I can remember, my mom was influencing me to play music. But ironically, before she passed away, as things started happening for me, I remember her going, "God, I hope you never end up like Elvis," where she spent her whole life wishing I was Elvis, and then all of a sudden when she realized that it was a possibility that I would have not Elvis, no one has Elvis success, but have the success, she got really worried and would always be like, "Don't let that stuff happen to you, the drugs and the people pushing you around," and you know. But so early on, she influenced me to be a lover of music, and somewhere along the line, like 4 years old or something, she got me a guitar, and she was really shoving me on it, but I wasn't too into it. And then it was 1978. I was 5, 6-year-old kid. When I was born in 72, so 78 I was 6 years old, and Kiss came on the TV, man. And what do you do when you see Kiss? When you know, in 1978, it was everything any little boy wanted, because it was rock and roll and it was superheroes. And that moment changed my life forever. And I walked in my room and grabbed my guitar, and everything was completely different. My world. I got thrown out of kindergarten for drawing pictures of Gene Simmons.
That's kind of funny, because my first concert was 77 Kiss.
You saw Kiss?
Yes. Yeah,
oh, we shouldn't speak anymore.
I was 7.
You're just like my asshole friends that are watching Van Halen right now.
And
so you saw the real thing, the Destroyer tour.
I was. Gene told me, I've been friends with Gene for over 18 years now.
Yeah.
And he told me I was the first person that ever tattooed his boot.
Oh, that's what that is. Look at that. The drag. Oh, that's wonderful, man.
And then I've got my 3 faces of Gene over here.
You see that, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
My Ace Frehley right there. Yeah,
so, yeah, that's my band right there.
Yeah, it changes your life. You know. How old are you?
And I'll be 43 this year.
All right, so you're a few years older than me.
Yeah,
so you were probably 8 years old or whatever when you saw it.
I was 7.
Yeah, you're 7, and it's life changing, right?
Yeah.
Kid.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, that was it. I saw Kiss, and that's all I needed to know for the rest of my life, man.
Yeah.
You know. And then from Kiss, I went to Van Halen. You know, and then you're bit with the bug and rock and roll forever.
That's it, you know.
Yep.
I remember the first time seeing, you know, Van Halen, and you just seen that wall of amps.
Nothing like it, man.
Just boom, right there, and
you
know, and what's funny is recently here, there's been a couple of bands that have kind of got slammed because they're using empty cabinets up on stage.
Right.
Who did that first?
Was it Van Halen?
Van Halen did it first.
Yeah.
You know? Honestly, all you need is
cool.
1 amp.
Right.
You know, you don't need 500 amps to pull your sound off.
I didn't finish. We were talking about gear, and the reason I talked about John is we have scaled our gear down a whole lot. I'm actually only using 2 12 cabinets, not even 4 12 cabinets.
Wow.
And my entire rig is an iPad now.
Wow.
We're traveling incredibly light, and we've gotten a lot of attention from it. You'll hear it tonight. We've had everybody, some of the world's greatest players that have played with us, they hear the rig and they don't believe, you know. Even last night we played with Warrant and Firehouse, and the guys in Warrant, they're gearheads. They're big gearheads.
Oh, yeah.
And Joey, there's Joey.
Yeah,
Joey plugged into the rig, man, and he couldn't believe, because I can't believe that's an iPad, it doesn't sound digital or whatever. And we've had CC from Poison, you know, was excited that we were doing that. Blanda, who plays with Vince Neil, thought it sounded great. There's a couple other people, but I can't remember right now. Did Warren D. Martini hear it the other night from Rat? But there's been a couple people hear it, but I've always been, you know, because I produce records and stuff, I'm a big digital guy. You know, me and Bret make the records with a laptop on the bus, and so we're really into the modern technology and all that stuff. So in the studio, I haven't plugged a guitar amp in almost 10 years. So I've been part of that digital technology for a long time, and just in the last 6-7 months, it's gotten that good that we can do it live. That I think we can do it live. And John made this rig. He put it together perfectly, and it sounds great. But it's so, I mean, it takes 200 and some pounds off of our truck.
Yeah.
I mean, unfortunately in today's economy, you have to worry about everything, and gas prices and all that stuff. On this show, we're running these big buses, these big trucks, so anything we can, you know, save. Yeah. So I'm running a 212 and an iPad, and
it's crazy how technology has kind of improved the touring aspect.
Absolutely.
Of things.
And setup time and teardown time is hours shorter now. You know, so yeah. So I just wanted to get back to that about technology, but we can talk about Kiss some more if you want. On the new record, Bret Michaels and Friends, it's a guest collaboration with different people that play on the record, and Ace Frehley played on the record with us.
Nice.
And basically, I flew to Ace's house. We did a remake of Poison's Nothing But a Good Time, and my 3 favorite bands were Poison, Van Halen, and Kiss. That's all that matters. And you'll cut this, right?
Yeah, we can.
Rob.
Sorry,
It's okay.
I'll come back.
It's all good.
Let me start again. And so I was saying my 3 favorite bands are Poison, Van Halen, and Kiss. And on the Nothing But a Good Time remake, it's me, my drummer Chuck, Bret, Michael Anthony from Van Halen, and Ace Frehley. So it's like I'm in my own super band of everything I've ever dreamed. But I flew to San Diego. Ace lives in San Diego now. He finally moved out of New York. And we went to his house, and I took my computer, and I just opened the door, and there he was. He was just all by himself, and we spent the day in his house just cutting tracks and playing guitar and having a fun day. And I can't even describe the experience to play, work with, a guy from Kiss who's basically the reason everything I do. So yeah, that's my big Kiss story.
Nice. Yeah, I've got a couple of nice Kiss stories.
Yeah, let's go. Come on.
Yeah, I was lucky enough. Gene invited me to go to Australia with him with Silverchair.
Nice.
Yeah, and that was the first time I ever went to Australia. And shortly after that, that's when I got the boot tattooed.
Oh, right.
And he's like, we're doing this book. It's going to be called Kisstory. And he's like, I think I'm going to put you in it.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, you're just bullshitting me. And sure enough, I'm in the Kisstory book.
Dude,
and,
that's about the coolest thing there is. That thing sits on my coffee table. Nice.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the biggest things that's ever happened to me.
Of course,
and,
that's big.
And being friends with him through the years, and, I had pictures of, holding his kids when they were little.
Yeah. Sophie's becoming something, isn't she, man? She's cool.
It's crazy how, just watching them kind of grow up through the years, just kind of from an outside point of view, and then you watch him on like his TV show, and it's like that's the way he is, man. I mean, he's not a bullshitter. He's a straightforward type of guy.
That his show, it's funny. There's a lot of people that kind of think it really took the mystery out of Kiss with that show, but as a father myself, I have 2 children. It was interesting to watch that. Because there's always these shows, and there's always these rock stars' kids, and it shows, because my dad was in Molly Hatchet, I'm a coke kid now. Yeah. It was a really neat perspective to watch that Gene's kids are world-class people. That Gene's lifestyle and all the eccentricities that come with being a Kiss did not make those kids anything but great. I thought that show was great.
Oh yeah. And they're complete. When you think of Gene Simmons, you think his kids are going to be partiers, and this and that, and they're complete opposite. And just down to earth, and don't think they're better than anybody else.
Right.
And,
yeah, absolutely.
And it's weird. Like last time I seen Nick, I actually looked up to him.
Oh yeah.
And I was
He's
like,
huge,
this
right?
is crazy.
Yeah.
Seeing him through the years progressing, and now I'm like, hey, how you doing, buddy?
Right.
And yeah, I mean that's one of the coolest things that's happened to me being in the business as long as I have been.
Awesome, since you're like me and grew up on it. You know what I mean? It's a good reward. It makes a lot of sacrifice in anything you do in the music industry. A lot of sacrifice, and it's just something simple like that makes every bit of it worth it. You know, everything you've done is worth it now. You know. So,
yeah. Oh yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
Definitely. Let's talk a little bit about how you keep yourself entertained on the bus in between gigs. Do you on your computer, you video gamer, movies?
You know what? My life.
Sleep.
My life is music. Other than being, I also act as a tour manager out here, and I also act as the PR guy for Bret's Entertainment Company. So if I'm awake, I'm doing something. I don't have hobbies, and I wish I had some hobbies, but it's just music. I wake up and it's music. So, and to me, music's my job. So, to me, it's I don't know if it's called entertaining. I'm not entertaining myself, but I'm certainly always busy. There's always something to do. You know, there's a couple TV shows and stuff. I mean, I'm a huge Star Wars fanatic. I like some of the sci-fi stuff.
Yeah, so Star Wars over Star Trek.
Yeah. But those last two.
Me and Nick from Black Label, man, we had some good conversations about Star Wars.
Yeah. Those last two Star Trek movies are good, though, that J.J. Abrams did.
Yeah, I will agree with that, but I'm still diehard Star Wars.
Do you know what this is?
Damn. Wow.
You recognize a little, right?
Yeah.
It's the Mandalorian thing from Boba Fett. Yeah, I wanted to get a Star Wars tattoo, but I wanted it to be something that people wouldn't just point out. You know, I didn't want Darth Vader's face or something.
Yeah, something that everyone else is getting.
Yeah,
that's kind of like with my boot.
Yeah, I wouldn't have known that.
Everyone's always done like the faces and paint.
Yeah, it's interesting. Absolutely.
You know, and I was always drawn to his boots. Ever since being a little kid.
My favorite era, obviously that's like the Love Gun era, I think, your boot. But the Dynasty era with the look like molten rock or whatever.
Yeah,
those are fucking cool.
Those are badass.
So.
And yeah, I mean it's something I'm pretty proud of.
Yeah, it's awesome.
You know, it's in my blood for life. So.
Once you are, you're Kiss Army, right?
Yep, that's that. Yep.
Absolutely.
Definitely. Now, talking about bands like Kiss, other influences for you, guitar-wise, who are some of your other guitar influences?
You know, obviously Ace Frehley, Eddie Van Halen.
Anybody obscure that might surprise us?
You know, obscure. You know, it's kind of. I'll say this. Rock, when we were kids, was all a bunch of power chords, and I really enjoyed other chords and other sounds. So, probably in my 20s, I went back and learned all that Duran Duran stuff.
Oh, that's amazing stuff.
And it was written much more complex than I thought it was as a kid. So I don't know if I would say that their guitar player. I don't even know who their guitar player was. I don't know which
Andy
one. Andy Johns. But I became very influenced in the way they wrote. There's a guy from Atlanta, a modern guy. Well, not modern. It's been 15 years now. But his name's Sean Mullins, and he had a song called Lullaby. It's a single, and this guy is a brilliant guitar player, kind of folk songwriter, and I really dug him. Guitar playing wise, though, I got to be honest with you, man. I was just the basics, man. It was Ace Frehley, then it was Eddie Van Halen, obviously it was Jakey Lee. It was anyone that followed in the Ozzy camp. The day I heard Zakk Wylde, you're like, at my age, my generation, the day you heard Zakk, everything fucking changed.
Yeah, you know what exactly.
I mean? Everything changed, and obviously Dimebag. You know, as generic as it sounds, I'll still go down in history that he's the last guy that really changed the face of what we do. No one to me has
came close to
redefined what Dime did. And I always laugh because, you know, I'm much more of a pop guitar player. You know, I was a big fan of Richie Sambora too, man. Richie's a good player. And I always laugh because Dime's favorite bands were Kiss and Van Halen, just like me, but yet he came out so fucking cool, and I came out this little wimpy guy. You know, it's like, what happened? We drank the same milk. You know, what happened? But you know, Dime was great. I I like everything. I liked in the '90s. I liked a lot of the stuff that the Jim Blossoms and the Spin Doctors did. It was neat, you know. Bush. I was a huge Bush fan. They made a lot of noise and were cool. But I'm just a fan of music, man. And the guitar is a tool to get those sounds out. And, you know, I loved what Nine Inch Nails did when they changed the face of kind of the way records were produced and those sounds. And I like a little bit of everything. And let me tell you, some of those country guitar players. You know, Brad Paisley.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of rock players can do what that guy can do.
I'm real good friends with John Five.
Oh yeah. Well,
man,
dude, let me tell you, I hate to interrupt you, but it's funny you say that. John does the every once in a while. I guess he sits in with that metal show, and he plays on Eddie Trunk's show, and he did some shit the other day. I was watching it on the episode that Sammy Hagar was on, and I will say that was probably the first time I've watched a guitar player since Dime, and I thought, rewind that, I don't know what he just did. Yeah, he's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, he does, some of the stuff he's recorded and some of the stuff he just comes up with on the fly is just so mind-boggling.
Yeah.
And
I should have said
because he can go from playing a real crazy metal riff to just some crazy bluegrass.
Yeah. He's
and then
very versed.
flamenco stuff.
Yeah.
You're just like, whoa, I've just seen like 4 different styles of music in 2 minutes.
Yeah, he's a great player, absolutely.
And, you know, he's turned me on to some really awesome...
And he's very respected by people. Like, in the industry, no one, you know, if his name comes up to be hired to do something, or if someone needs somebody, he's the first on the list of who to call in his thing, you know, so yeah, he's great.
Yeah, and it's crazy because everyone always like, you know, John Five, Marilyn Manson, blah, 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 but, you know, he's more than just the guy who played for Manson for a while.
I don't even think of that
anymore,
to be honest with you.
You know, like his solo stuff just blows me away every time I hear it. And each one of his solo records, I'm just like, man, what's this guy going to do next?
You know who's also a killer guitar player? He was in Poison for a while. Was Richie Kotzen.
Richie, yeah.
Kotzen's sick, man.
I love Kotzen.
He's starting to get a lot more notoriety in the States after all these years. He's been.
I know he's huge in Japan.
Yeah, he's huge over there, but he's a really good player. So.
Oh yeah, I was lucky enough to catch him on the Poison tour before they.
You saw it? I never saw it.
Yep, the Native Tongue tour. Yep. I caught it down at the Zoo Amphitheater in Oklahoma City.
Right on, right. That's down now, you know that, right?
Yeah, they have a whole new thing going on now, which kind of sucks because I always liked that venue.
Yeah, everyone did.
Yeah.
It was pretty world famous. We all knew about it growing up, you know. So.
Yeah, that was one of my top, 3 favorite venues that I would go to.
Right.
You know, and Sandstone up at KC is always good. Red Rocks.
We just played on the 3rd of July. We played in Kansas City at this.
Crossroads.
Crossroads. I've never seen that. That's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Kind of right in the city, but it feels like you're kind of having this backyard barbecue type of thing.
Yeah.
That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, the people who came up with that they were brilliant.
A lot of fun.
Oh yeah, it's kind of like the Power and Light District up there too. You know, which is really cool because they do the shows up there and they're free.
Right.
You know, you get bands coming through like Buck Cherry and whatnot coming through, and you know, you get 10,000 people in there for free and just pack the place. And
we just did a festival just last week with it was us and Buck Cherry and Sick Puppy and Drowning Pool and Trapped and nice, and it was interesting that most of that was heavy, and then Buck Cherry's kind of heavy, kind of not, and then us, and all the fans stayed for everything, and it was just a celebration of rock and roll. It wasn't a segregated, the Bret Michaels fans, the Buck Cherry fans, the Drowning Pool fans. You know, you wonder when you go into something as eclectic as that. That Drowning Pool stuff is as heavy as it gets, and the fans just were there having a great time. It felt really good, man.
Yeah, that's always nice when, you're doing a show and half the audience don't leave when you guys come on stage.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And that new guy, I don't know his name, the guy singing for Drowning Pool, he's pulling that pretty good.
Oh yeah.
You know, Dave was pretty iconic.
Yeah, me and Dave were friends before Drowning Pool.
He passed away in the town I live in, Virginia.
Yeah, me and him were friends before Drowning Pool existed.
Oh, nice.
That's why I've got the tribute. Yuri's born. Yuri died 72.
Oh, right on. Yep.
And I was one of the first 3 people that his wife called.
Oh, really?
And I was just, because we were so close. And
yeah. they were playing on the Ozfest, if I remember correctly, and the town I live in, Manassas, Virginia, and they were supposed to play there that night. And our band is sponsored by Jägermeister. As you know, Drowned was the biggest Jägermeister band of all time. And the guys from Jaeger called me. They woke me up and they said, "Hey man, everyone's saying that Dave passed away and he's down at the hotel right by your house. Can you just drive over there and then see what's going on?" And like I told him, I said, "I'm not doing that." And I said, "I don't know why, but I'm not going to drive my car over there and see if Dave passed away." It felt really weird to me. Do you know what I mean? That was a really weird morning, man, for sure. So.
Yeah, I know. I was shocked. You know, and another great one lost.
Yeah.
You know, but he's up there in the All-Star Jam band.
Absolutely.
Right now, you know.
He's up there with Hendrix and everybody else. Right?
Janice and
Janice, absolutely. Yep.
So, they're up there rocking out, and he's bringing the modern influence to them.
Absolutely.
One day, you know, we'll all be up there and have a big rock concert.
Big rock concert in the sky, right?
That's it, man. Definitely.
We're lucky that Bret's not up there, man.
Oh yeah.
He dodged that pretty hard, so. He's in better shape than ever, though, now. Like, when's the last time you've seen our show, our Poison show?
The last time I saw your show was at the Hartman Arena in Wichita.
Yeah.
That was the last time.
That was 2.5, maybe 3 years ago.
Yeah, something like that.
And, he turned 50 this year. Bret turned 50. And he's in better shape than he's ever been. His voice is stronger than it's ever been. And you'll see tonight, it's mind-blowing that he keeps going, man. He's going to die on that stage. That's the only thing he's ever known. And he's just going to go till
man, I think we took up enough of your time.
You got it?
Yeah, definitely, man. I think we covered just about everything.
All right.
I guess one last thing I want to talk about is over the last couple of years, all the social network sites that have been popping up. How has that kind of affected you? Like the Facebooks and Twitters and stuff like that.
You know, what it does to you when you've spent your life being your own PR machine. MySpace came out and everybody thought it was really cool, and it was really fun to control because it was all it was. And then Facebook, and at first Facebook was more about just your high school buddies, and then it became this incredible way to communicate. Facebook works. It works, and it works for the fans, and it's simple interface. But then there's Twitter, and there's Glide, and I'm overwhelmed now. Like Instagram and all this stuff. I don't know if it's because I'm getting older. I don't want to be I'm such a technology geek that I love all that stuff. You know, I have every Apple device you can buy. My entire house is, run like a computer. I'm no Tony Stark, but you'd think that, I wire my little townhouse up like I'm Iron Man. So I'm into the technology, but it becomes overwhelming because how do you reach? It was easy to reach millions of your fans on MySpace or millions of your fans on Facebook, but now it's like, well, it's almost just like, like TV. I used to buy local TV commercials to promote my band when everybody just had cable. But now there's cable, and there's dish, and there's satellite, and there's like 5 different things that you may have. So what do I do if I'm a local business or a local band that wants to buy advertising? And it's really the same thing. Where do you put your efforts at? To be successful in any business right now, you have to have a full-time social media guy. We have 2 people in our company that their job 7 days a week is to handle all that. To me, it's overwhelming. But at the same time, I was a huge fan of the internet from the very beginning. At AOL, I was very excited because I remember when AOL first came out, and I realized you could search friends, right? And I remember typing one day, search Van Halen, and all of a sudden, maybe 450 people with Van Halen in their profiles, their favorite music, came up from all over the world. And here I'm this local guy in Virginia, just wanting to play my music for like-minded people. And I'll never forget that day. My mind went, the entire world's at my hand right now. I can find all the people that might like my music, and I can invite them personally to listen to me. And so the concept of what social media can do is incredible if you can focus on it and use it for you. You know what I mean? At the same time, it's taken a lot of the mystery out of rock and roll. There used to be a lot of fun about not knowing what was going on backstage, what is going on back there, what does a tour bus look like, now, as soon as you do a meet and greet or you do something, the pictures are up instantly. You know what I mean? So some of the mystery in the whole world's gone because of social media, and that's a little disheartening, I guess. But at the end, we're all connected, and so I think that's good. Yeah.
Nice. Cool. All right, man. Well, I think that covers everything.
Good. You got what you need? Is that okay? If it sucks, we'll do it again, man. You know?